Every week I find new buttons don't work. I just don't understand it. Oh, wow. That's going to be loud for the people at home.
They'll be fine.
Oh, now, see, I feel like you guys. Now I have to get on the phone. I have to adjust it. I have to get everything where it needs to go.
I don't have to do anything. I like this.
Send it to everybody we know. Even just sharing it on my page, I still have to send it out to people.
All right, welcome to the Probably Wrong Podcast. We're back. It's Wednesday at 5. My name is Tony Furtado. To my left, Mikey Snellgrove. And to my far left, back from a 2-week hiatus, Diamond Dave DeShulo. DeShulo.
You got it.
Close enough.
Close enough, yeah.
So how was your trip, Diamond Dave?
It was amazing. The island was beautiful. The water. I know you're not a swimmer.
Not a swimmer. Don't know how.
I love snorkeling, and someday I'll try diving. But the snorkeling there was awesome. Just
do
right
we
off
have
the
any
beach.
pictures of you snorkeling? I think I'd like to get my hands on a few of those.
So there were some pictures posted of the snorkeling, and it was this with the camera, so you couldn't really tell.
Wouldn't it be nice to
I
have a
couldn't tell who
Diamond
was in the
Dave
water,
T-shirt with
you
him
know?
snorkeling, like a white T-shirt with a nice graphic of him snorkeling?
I have a picture of me snorkeling next to a whale shark, and Tina made it into a notepad, and it's got my fat gut hanging out.
Yeah, but does it have the whale shark?
The whale shark is in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who had a bigger gut? Yeah. Tough call. Tough call.
That was pretty cool, but the snorkeling here, it was more like small fish, squid, little octopus, stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I mean, we just walk out of the resort onto the beach, climb in the water, and just throw the masks on and start swimming around. It was awesome. It really was. The island was beautiful. The resort was pretty good. It wasn't great.
How was your birthday down there?
It was good. We had a good time. We did an excursion and went to do these mud baths. That was interesting.
I can't picture you doing the mud bath.
It was just they had these 3 big, giant pools, concrete pools of black water, and
Sounds like fun.
you went to go in it, and it was hot as hell, and like you get this stuff on you, and then you stand up, and you just have like black, like soot.
Oh, so it's not really mud.
No,
I'm always picturing like it's like you get into literally like you're in.
When are people going to make fun of him for this? I'm waiting for the comments to come in. He just went on a mud bath, and nobody's commented. Like,
You're
it's not
about
a
to
big
make
deal.
fun
Like,
of him, and I'm intrigued.
yeah, mud bath. You know the snorkeling thing. If you know how to swim, I get it. A mud bath,
Let me see if
and nobody has anything to say about it.
yeah, Tina's got all the pictures.
Do you put Do you put your head under the mud bath?
I did not. I think some people
Mud
did.
boy. Yeah.
Maybe Tina can send me some pictures, but because after you get out of that, and then they take this gray mud and smear it all over you, and once it dries up, then they come and paint you with some other crap. It's
All right, that's not. I
It was-
just wanted to be in the mud bath.
it was pretty cool. I mean, the mud bath was cool, and then we went to this waterfall to wash off, and that was cool too. I mean, you go from the super hot water to the waterfall was freezing.
Sounds very feminine. All of it.
Yeah, it was a good time though.
You missed a lot, though. Huh? Did you able to follow anything that's happening down there, or did you just completely cut everything?
Oh, were you all caught up in mud?
I saw some of the stuff. I mean, I got on and watched the show. I was in the group still listening, like reading in on.
Listen to all the bickering behind the scenes.
The bickering, yeah. But yeah, I honestly didn't watch any sports. It was tough. We didn't watch much TV.
You're on a tropical island. You
Yeah.
can say absolutely not.
We
I
got
paid
up.
no attention to, and I'm surprised you chimed in last Wednesday. I'm in St. Lucia. You know, I enjoy the show, but I'm not really. I
Hey,
mean,
either watch a show or mud wrestle with Tina. I'd rather watch the show.
We had spent the day swimming and
Getting
whatever,
pedicures and manicures.
and
A real
this,
manly trip.
This
It was
resort.
the guy's
they had-
honeymoon.
Yeah.
The honeymoon's not for you. It's the wife's honeymoon.
Apparently
You're
not.
just along for the ride.
All right.
You know?
No, it was great. It really was. Beautiful place. It was 85, 86 every day. So if you like warm weather, it was perfect. You know,
Well, that part sounds interesting. I like that.
got the nice tan. There was.
I was very surprised to see you walk through the door today actually tan. Usually you come back either beet red or still pale white.
I got fried the first day we were there. My shoulders were bright red, and then I smartened up a little bit, I guess. But yeah, came out nice.
Well, that's good. Now you're back.
Back to my long sleeve shirts, and I was that
Good.
guy at the airport with flip flops and shorts on, standing there waiting for a ride.
It's been cold up here.
freezing
Yeah,
out.
it's been very, very cold up here.
Yeah,
Couldn't wait to get back to get your spot back.
yeah.
You know, Paul
You're a
Connors
little nervous.
did a great job
Paul
last
Connors
week.
comes in,
But
absolutely
I
crushes
think
it.
he was a little nervous.
Yeah.
A little nervous. Garoppolo was coming
Oh,
in and
well, he
taking.
thought he was going to get Wally pipped right out of his job.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that to you yet, Dave.
Not yet. Keep doing the manicures and the mud baths, and Paul Connors might be a regular.
Yeah. Well, he keeps talking about Bo Nix, and
Yeah, we might have to
Guy
get him
not
out of
allowed,
that, too.
might not allow him
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah.
Oh, guy, he loves his Bo Nix.
He
He loves
does.
his Oregon Ducks.
He does.
You know?
It was funny to see him in the outfit. So now I know why he supports Bo Nix so much. But I'd like to say no thanks, Paul. Maybe Bo Nix can go play for the Dolphins or something.
Or maybe in the XFL.
Well, he could get forced on us, you know. So we'll see.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, a lot of things in the news right now, though. You know, a lot of things, people saying no thanks and things getting forced on them. You know,
I've heard this.
you know. Can we talk a little Diddy to start the show?
Diddy.
Because you know, I grew up, and Diddy, Biggie, they were the guys. Bad Boy Records. It was amazing. And now we find out.
I'm sure Diddy wouldn't mind being on a foreign island right now in a mud bath.
In fact, he is on a foreign island
He's
right
in the
now.
Cape Verdean Islands,
took,
right?
He took right off.
Yeah.
Let his sons get arrested,
Yeah.
and he just bounced.
Cabo
You know,
Verde.
Could
You
you
know,
even
learn how to
could-
speak
could you-
Portuguese.
So to the people who don't know about Puff Daddy and what he's being, I guess, I don't want to
Accused
say
of.
accused of,
Well,
is
they're saying that if they went to his houses and that it's more than just accusations at this point. They have something solid on him.
oh yeah, this guy is a the island. I'm going to destroy his name. Joel Westine.
Epstein?
Epstein.
Epstein.
Thank
Epstein.
you.
Come on. Jerry West?
Jerry West Island.
Yeah.
I can't
It's-
get the comments up on mine.
But it's basically that, but his house and his
Ooh.
recording studios. Oh,
I didn't know that. I haven't paid too much attention to it. I know
this guy's out there raping everything,
Eesh.
and that's the worst part.
Yeah.
Well, the rape in general is the worst part, but I mean, this guy between the females in his life, between the males in his life, between underage people, this guy is right now. I mean, being portrayed as a very awful human being.
Right. Well, it's really sad because it's amazing how somebody can kind of put up a front for so long because everybody liked him. He seemed very likable and like very intelligent, and he's a freaking creep. He's going to be hanging out with R. Kelly. They're going to be cellmates.
Yeah. And Andrew Hudson chimes in. So is Cat Williams right about everything? I don't know. I never thought that he was wrong about everything. I mean, I wanted to the Cat Williams. I don't know if you ever saw that, but he spoke out about Hollywood. A lot of people. There's some people in what he talked about. I'm hoping that it was far fetched because I like those guys.
But once you're right about one thing,
He's been right about a couple things.
Yeesh.
That's what's
Yeah.
But a lot of people have over the years.
Ricky
spoke
Gervais
out.
has talked about it.
Yeah.
And you have people talking about it that don't really benefit from talking about it, right? If anything,
Right.
you lose if
Right.
you talk about it,
That-
and you're not in the inner circle now.
A lot of validation to Mace's comments way back when. Mace was one of the first ones that outed him and got blackballed, you know?
And 50 Cent has made a lot of comments about a lot of guys, too. And
Yeah.
P. Diddy being one of them. So this can't be good.
Andrew Wright said Diddy likes to party, and sometimes you have to tell him no. I think a lot of people told him no. And he just
God,
didn't want to hear it. He just,
No
drink a
means yes to
little
him.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, some of
Have
these...
a little of this drink.
Yeah.
Like, so I got into reading the allegations and some of this stuff. I mean, it's just, it's all gross. Like, it's just, I don't even want to think of some of the like the rappers or the movie stars and stuff that are implicated in some of these acts, or either have the acts done to them. It's just, oh man, I just don't want to. I don't want to believe the truth that it's that bad. Not just there. I mean, this spreads all through Hollywood, all through everything. I mean, there are. It's just. It's like now, how could you let your kids, like these child actors and stuff like that, like, I want to get famous. How of a parent are you to you hear all this stuff and this stuff becoming true that you let them go? Like, oh, I'm going to let my kid go record. I'm going to let them go. Are you that greedy? You know?
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of them
I think
are.
a lot of people are.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Greed. It's just.
God. You would hope like this side of the world just didn't really exist, right? Like this side of like human beings.
And I think we've done that for years.
Yeah.
And I think now it's just these guys got too fat off it, I guess. Too cocky. Like
they
You're
think
mentally
they're too
ill
powerful.
if you think this is like something that is like okay to even do. Like sometimes I go out and you'll be out at a bar and there'll be like a girl that's like 23 and somebody will be like, look at her, she's hot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, she looks like a little kid. And she's 23. Now we're talking about like legit little kids, right? Like 14, 15.
Andrew brings up a great comment here. How many kids went to Michael Jackson's house?
Same thing.
I know.
Same
I know.
thing.
The
So
parents got paid very well.
this is yeah, but okay. I don't even want to get into this part of it. But yeah,
Oh.
Michael Jackson. Yeah, every time I hear "Pretty Young Thing," which is one of my favorite songs ever.
No, maybe you're a creep too.
But I can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
comes on, and you're like, oh, they start listening. Go, oh, he's talking about little boys.
It's kind of weird.
Oh, it's awful.
Very weird.
You know? Oh, Brian asked the question: what makes him any different from Deshaun Watson? So,
Deshaun Watson was getting massages from massage therapists, and well, you know what? He was kind of forcing them to do things they didn't want to do.
no,
So I mean, I think there are different levels of like. I don't think Deshaun Watson had sexual intercourse with these girls, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about like a hand job, kind of like the Robert Kraft.
oh,
thing.
he had intercourse with
Oh, he
somebody.
did. He
But-
did. Yeah.
So what I think I think the Deshaun Watson case was, yes, he's guilty of everything that was being talked about. But these Instagram models, these Instagram influencers were going back and forth DMing him, inviting them over to his house. They start the act, you know, and I'm not saying he was right. I'm not saying wrong. Like, but I think that one person was like, oh, I think I can get Deshaun Watson for this. I know some other girls doing this because they all settled. This is
And
what
they
it
were
bothers me.
adults too, right?
They were adults, and they all quickly settled for money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, wait a minute. If he violated you that bad, and you wanted to press him, and you have 68 women, 68 girls,
Yeah.
you got this guy lock, stock. You know, there's the smoking barrel. He's done for, and you all just settled for money.
And all it takes is one person to say, you know what? I'm not going to sell out for money, right?
Yeah, but every single one.
Right. I don't know the case that well, but if one girl said, I'm not going to sell out for money, and then she kind of stuck by her story, that would have probably changed things quite a bit. But it sounds like they all settled for money, so then you got to question. I don't know.
Yeah, because someone threw a number at him, and they were like, "Really?"
And some of these masseuses were talking about like, no, he offered it. He offered me money, and yeah, I mean, I came to his house like I expected this.
Yeah,
you know.
okay.
But the lawyer started getting it. I'm not saying all of them said that, but there were a couple to be like, no, he was. Some of them be like, no, he was.
Yeah, so he's probably a creep too. But the fact that P. Diddy was doing things with children makes it 100 times worse.
Raping men, raping women, making women
Was he
do
drugging
all kinds
people?
of lewd acts just to get the illusion of being signed, and then throwing them out back when he was done with them.
Oh, that's not.
Oh yeah, no, oof. Yeah, and then you get the neighbor. Did you hear the neighbor spouting off as he's pulling away from the house?
No.
Oh, yeah. Diddy's been bringing kids here. 3 a.m. buses the kids coming. I seen it all. 3 a.m. Diddy's a creep. That's the neighbors pulling out yelling. lot of shady things go down around these streets at 3 a.m.
So Diddy is done.
Yeah.
Diddy is done.
There's no coming back from this.
Oh, no. So he's done, and then he's probably got dirt on a lot of people, so he's probably going to be Epsteined in jail, where they're going to say, oh, he killed himself.
Yeah.
I see it, and it's kind of, I mean, not to throw dirt on it, but his sons have always seemed off, and then you see them getting arrested. It's like, what were the kids doing? Like, dude, you got your kids involved in this? Like,
Do the kids even know?
Creep is creep.
Yeah, like if you grow up knowing something, you know what I mean? Like,
did Biggie know about this? Is this why Biggie was killed? Biggie knew too much and didn't like what was going on, and he offed him.
Yeah.
He offed Tupac.
I
he
wonder
just
how
started
much of this
offing
we're
rappers.
truly going to find out. This could get really, really ugly.
Well,
Sounds like
there's
it
going to
already
be
is.
someone. He's going to be. I mean, look at Diddy. He's going to be singing. He's going to be telling everybody. So he doesn't seem like a strong cat anymore.
No, so he's probably not going to be around too much longer.
Well, so I mean, to keep it rolling, if you want to talk about somebody who seems to be a strong individual and doubling down, Shohei Ohtani.
Doubling down. Yeah. So I think what makes this one a little bit more difficult is Shohei doesn't.
He was smart about it. If it's true, he's got a fall guy. There's no way. I don't think there's any way that he can be pinned for this. It's going to take. You got a fan here, Joe at Toonies, says hello. All right,
Hello, Joe.
I just destroyed the last name.
I don't think baseball wants Shohei out of. Baseball has one, maybe two international stars. Shohei is one of them. Aaron Judge, potentially. If you went to the local middle school and you asked them who Ronald Acuna is, nobody knows who he is.
No.
Right? But they all know who Steph Curry is. They all know who Kevin Durant. They know Jason Tatum, LeBron James. They know Shohei Ohtani. So baseball is already a struggling sport. They can't take the hit by suspending Shohei Ohtani. They can't. So baseball is going to want to cover this. And baseball has a reputation of covering things. They covered steroids until it was out. They covered everyone's butt. The Houston Astros, they were cheating, and then all of a sudden they handed out suspensions. No players were suspended. Baseball is very shady. Trevor Bauer still can't play Major League Baseball because MLB doesn't want him to, so he actually just pitched 9 innings last night in South Korea.
Look great.
And he could pitch on any Major League Baseball team right now, but MLB doesn't want him in the majors.
No, but MLB wants to keep Ohtani.
100%.
And I think... Go ahead.
And Shohei Ohtani might be the greatest athlete we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And to put it into, like, a comparison...
I mean, people are always going to make the cases for, like, your Bo Jackson and stuff like
that.
Bo
Jackson, we never saw it. We never truly saw it. We never saw him develop into a top 5 baseball player. I was telling a friend the other day, if you had Lamar Jackson play his level of quarterback, which is top 5 in the league, top 5 quarterback, and then he played defense and was a top 3 or 4 cornerback, and played the whole game, that's Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. He is if he was on the Red Sox right now, he'd be their number 1 hitter and their number 1 pitcher by far.
Yeah.
It's amazing what this guy can do.
Yeah. His numbers are comparable to Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth only pitched a few years, too, before he completely stopped.
Yeah. Like their record, their strikeouts, their at-bats and home runs and all that, it's all...
We don't know how... Like, we know...
I know it's a way different era, obviously.
But no one ever saw it. Like, you don't know
what
he
we never
like.
saw it. But
you see the pictures of it. You see this big fat guy get up to the plate and swing.
Yeah.
And hammer out dude's name, Wally Pip.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But...
So we don't truly know what's going on right now. One of two things is going to happen. Shohei's going to be suspended, or the interpreter's going to jail. It's one of those two things. There's no other option. Plus, gambling, I believe, is illegal in California.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing. So one of those two things is going to happen.
So I got a lot of theories. I've been bouncing all around on this. The end result is, and I don't think, even if Major League Baseball wanted to do something, if Ohtani truly was doing this, there's no way to pinch him for it. They've already said there's no money shown coming back into his accounts.
He's not a good gambler.
So if he's winning...
He's in the hole. He's in the hole.
Tony, there's no way someone is losing $4.5 million without winning some money.
No, but it just... You're taking off your debt. So maybe he would have been down $7 million.
But you would have had to start winning in the beginning. Sometimes there would have had to been a trail of wins.
But how does his interpreter get a money line or whatever they call that from a bookie? Who's going to let him
fall in the hole for $4.5 million?
Very simple. He met this bookie through other Major League Baseball players. One of Ohtani's buddies from the Angels used to play poker with Ohtani's interpreter. Ohtani's interpreter was introduced to this bookie who has got a lot of high place. He deals with a lot of guys who spend big money. That's how he got hooked into with him. Now I think that if he's stealing money, he's known Ohtani since 2013. He considered him his brother. So he's had to have access to the accounts. And Ohtani's got so much money. It's like, I don't know.
My brother doesn't have access to any of
yeah.
their accounts.
And
here's
the thing where it gets a little bit tricky. I have a business account at the bank. I have my personal account at the bank. For me to move a small amount of money, say $10,000, from my business to my personal account, they know who I am. It still needs to be signed off, right? Anytime a transaction happens that's a large amount, there's got to be checks along the way.
So, Tony, I think we're getting caught up in the stolen. I think he didn't literally steal the money. I think what he did was portrayed what he needed the money for something else, and then use that money to pay the gambling.
So Shohei let him borrow money?
I just think Shohei, whether he said he was, I don't know, buying a house, doing this, doing that, needed money to start a business, his family needed this. He could have fabricated a lie that he's, you know what I mean? 4.5 is a drop in the hat to someone who just made $300 million off endorsements. So I'm pretty sure if the stealing is...
Yeah, if my best friend asked me for $10,000, I don't think I would do it.
I think, like you said at the beginning, he had himself a fall guy.
Yeah, but
I
want to paint the picture the other way
right now.
I'd like for Ohtani to be totally I don't know. I love Ohtani as a baseball player. Nobody knows who he is as a person. I think we saw this with Ja Morant last year. We all love Ja Morant, and then all of a sudden we're like, dude, this is so much different than we thought he was. So nobody wants to see that, I don't think. But there are questions up in the air.
So Jay Fields goes, the interpreter is acting as a shell company. Well, yeah, that's a good theory. And right, Ethan, 4.5 with no return. There has to be some return somewhere.
Unless you're in the hole.
No, but you're thinking, this guy didn't go out and make one bet and lose $4.5 million.
No.
If you're betting and you roll in that amount of money, there are some wins somewhere along the line.
Right, but if you had 4 or 5 losses and you're in the hole $150,000 and then you win $70,000, now you're only in the hole $80,000. Maybe this guy's just not a good gambler.
No, I understand that, but there's got to be a trail of wins. There's got to be, at some point, to get down that bad in the beginning, to get the itch, you needed to have been up at one point. The degenerates, at one point, you need to be up to get sucked really in, because you I can get back up again.
But so dealing with a bookie, which I've done before, you're given a limit.
Yeah.
Depending on
who you are,
what you're worth.
But this, I said, this guy was was a high rolling bookie.
But this guy's just an interpreter.
Yeah, they said he made about $250,000 a year.
He was an interpreter to Shohei Ohtani.
I get that, but it's still
because that bookie said.
So you're gonna give him a line of credit at $4 million, $5 million.
Yeah, because he's like, well, you know what?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He's a public profile person. He's got a direct line to Ohtani. He knew that bookie. I'm getting my money because you know what? I'm going to out you right away, and it's going to look bad on Ohtani. What could have happened as well.
Yeah, there's so many scenarios for
this
whole
and
thing.
I don't know if we'll ever find out the total truth because MLB is going to want to sweep this under the rug.
They want to get it done quick.
But something has to happen, right? That guy either has to go to jail or Ohtani needs to be suspended. Those are the only 2 outcomes, right?
The guy's
going to be roommates with Diddy.
No, Diddy's going to a much worse prison.
Okay.
Diddy's not going to prison.
Diddy's not going to make it to
get a guy with theft of $4.5 million. That's a bad prison.
The camera's going to go out in Diddy's room, and they're going to find his body hanging.
Yeah.
Jay Fields brings up a valid point that I want to get into. Thanks. He goes, the issue with the money won or lost is if they can trace to wins and losses to games Ohtani pitched in. Yes, I agree with you there.
That's a big
but the
deal.
problem is, every Ohtani game, there are wins and losses. Somebody wins. You can't... hundreds of million people lose when Ohtani pitches. Hundreds of millions... I shouldn't say hundreds of millions, but a lot of people win. You can literally nowadays take anything. You could take Mike Trout, and if you were like, he's in trouble for gambling, you could go to that game with all these gambling sites, everything else, and you can be like, oh, look it. August 29th, Mike Trout hit over 3 home runs. Well, look, we got a parlay. Over 3 home runs. Oh, look, he bet that they would lose. Oh, he bet that he would have an error.
Yeah,
look.
It's different, though, if it's this interpreter has $1 million bet
But it's not
on an Ohtani game.
He doesn't. It's just another guy.
I'm just saying, if that's the case, and
Yeah.
it's Ohtani's pitching, and he's going to give up 5+ runs, and they're going to lose, and he goes out and has one of his worst pitching performances, gives up 6 runs, they lose by 3 or 4. At the plate, he's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and someone's collecting $1 million thing, and it's, oh, wait a minute, it's his interpreter.
But it wasn't his but
I'm just saying, like stuff like that. That's what they'll look for. They'll look to see what this guy was betting
He
on.
did. They have the whole thing. It was a random guy in Japan. But how many guys in Japan had a bet similar to that were off by 1? You know, they don't bring there was 30 guys who had that bet in and only 1 guy hit. Everybody else was off by 1. So if I don't find it in that. There's until you got a hard line of that money coming back, or even that guy who hit that crazy parlay, there's a somewhat of a record to that money goes to Ohtani's interpreter. I don't know. I think it's just...
I don't think there's enough information out yet for anyone to really have a clue what's going on. But like I said, I don't think Major League Baseball wants anybody.
They
to
don't
have a
want
clue
it to come out. No,
because this is
it's going
not
to
good.
ruin. It's going to be a huge black eye, and
Yeah,
they're
you're
already
going to lose,
struggling.
potentially lose your biggest star.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
They're struggling to keep people at games.
well, part of it's their fault, right?
100% their fault.
You
Not
have
part of it.
Ohtani, the biggest star in the game, with his LA Dodgers debut, and what do? You have them open up in South Korea, and if you're in LA, you have to watch the game at 3 a.m. Like, who the hell is going to wake up at 3 a.m.? These kids aren't going to watch baseball in South Korea at 3 a.m. So, you know what? Shame on baseball.
Yeah.
And me and my brother were talking about the Red Sox, like, Boston Red Sox. If you're going to put them on the road, fine. Don't put them in Seattle, where no kids can watch this game because
it's
it's
gonna
on
be
at
on at
10:30 at night.
yeah.
Put them in Atlanta. Put them in Baltimore. Put them somewhere else. Like, what are you doing, Major League Baseball? I'm spitting all over the place. I'm not even sorry. I'm pissed off at Major League Baseball.
And
To
at
the
least
people
if
who
you're
will
gonna
never
do-
see this,
Whew.
there is spit flying
Well,
everywhere.
as
I
a
haven't
baseball
been hit.
fan, I'm kind of angry because they butcher everything. And they're like, I don't know why people aren't watching the game. Because Shohei's showing up at 3 a.m. in South Korea, goddammit. That's why
And if
they
you
don't
want to watch
it.
the Red Sox home opener, or not home opener, but opening game, you got to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
to
and if
see
you're
the
an
final.
if you're an 8th grader, you're not going to do it.
No.
And they're like, oh, the young kids aren't watching the game. Well, why are you putting the Red Sox on at 10:30 at night
Yeah.
to open the season when people are interested?
Right.
Oh, that's awful. But yeah,
But it's Major League Baseball, you know.
We've talked about that before at nauseum. You know, you have them play away. You have them play at, like you just said, Atlanta.
7:30 games.
You know, Florida. You know,
Yep.
there are a million different
Even
ways
Texas.
to do this.
They're in Texas right now. Have them start at 8:30 so these kids can watch at least half
Yeah.
the game.
No, whoever is in charge in there literally has no clue and hasn't had a clue for years.
Yeah, it's
No.
unbelievable.
They can watch the Bruins, though. They're on at 7:30 tonight.
Well, there you go. Whew. Can I take a breath?
You know what? Why don't you take a breath and then let Dave get right into what he really wants to get into.
Time out.
So after chatting with you this morning, I tried to be a little more positive, have a little more positive spin.
It's tough to be positive, Dave, on this team. So you get that, but
Because last night, people are talking about how it was such a great win. And it's great that they won. All right, they beat Florida. But they got beat up. And, even though they fought back, they showed how weak they are.
Okay.
And the goals that were scored against them were the usual suspects. Brendan Carlo didn't want to get hit, so he threw the puck to open space, and a Florida player picks it up, and they go in and score. The beatings last night. I mean, Florida they love to hammer on you after the whistle. And I know the Bruins were fighting back. Like I said, they were fighting back, which is great to see. But they just show how weak they are. And when Patrick Maroon finally gets into the lineup, I'm hoping you'll see a different look, because they've added some bigger guys to the team, like Brazeau. I'm impressed with him.
Is it Brazeau or Braslow?
Brazeau.
Oh, I've been saying Braslow forever. Damn it.
He's big. He's fast. He playing with a lot of energy, which is great. It's great to see. The Peak, he's a bigger guy.
Yeah. Peak's been playing well. He's been, all over the place. He's been showing up in everything. So.
Yeah. And Wotherspoon, who no one ever heard of until this season, is playing well. I can't complain.
So before we continue, let's go back to last night's game.
Yep.
So I think that showed that these guys have a little bit of grit. That leading up to this game, none of us thought there was any of it.
No, especially Hampus Lindholm.
Okay, we'll get it. But the team dug. They hit back. As weak as the hits came across, it was more than what we've ever seen.
Yeah.
All season was more than we've seen. You got, like you just said, Hampus Lindholm getting into a fight. What did he land? No, he didn't. He threw a punch, missed, and then got tackled. And then the ref said, "You're out of your league."
Yeah.
Marshawn, the guy he fought was...
like 6-8 inches taller than him.
Was a monster.
Yeah. And that was just, the guy was giving little cheap shots. I watch all that stuff after the whistle. Florida is the worst team in the league for the little
we
subtle
talked about that.
cheap shots that the referee doesn't see it. They see the retaliation.
But that's what I mean. So a game last night, to me, was probably the biggest game of the year for them.
Yeah.
Because Florida is a team Florida and the Rangers are right there. And Florida is a team that beat us up, that we sat here and complained about, that they turtled. And it's almost like they not heard us, but heard the noise.
Trying to stand up.
And to bring us a little bit more full circle to your Maroon comment, if you can give that effort you gave last night with him, who's a bit of an enforcer,
it'll be a much different.
It'll be a much different
game and series. If they're in a series with Florida, they're in a series with anyone. If they're going to play like they did last night, it's going to be much better for them. Because
and to get to Bob Roxburgh's comment with that, he says here, there's no way they can hold that for a 7-game series. Bob, if they play like they did last night with the offense that they can put up, they're not going to need a 7-game series. This game's if they play like they did last night with Allmark in net, this is over in 5 or 6.
What they need to do with Florida in a playoff series is give it back to them for a game or two and get under Florida's skin so that Florida starts doing extra and getting penalized for it, because they will. They lose control real fast. Sam Bennett snapped last night after Lindholm, cheap shot at him in the face, which, I don't blame Lindholm for what he did, but I also don't blame Bennett for beating the tar out of him after he did it.
So with the good that we're talking, right, with the Bruins standing up for themselves a little bit last night, in the Bruins way, I still have an issue with your guy Swayman. Because last night,
hasn't played well.
He only faced 21 shots and gave up 3 goals.
Yeah.
And then even when the Bruins came back, the Bruins scored 2 goals last night within 5 minutes to tie it up and take the lead, and I'm still sitting here going,
waiting
guys,
for it.
Guys, get it away from Omar.
And it's not just Swayman though. That they in the last minute of a period and the last minute of games, they sit back and watch the other team skate around them.
And I don't think they did that last night.
No,
last night
it was different.
To double
It was
down,
a different feel.
Jay Fields said, "You don't think it's a blind squirrel finds a nut situation." I would think that if they played the way the Bruins have been playing all season and somehow won that game. You know what I mean?
I also think Maroon is practicing with these guys, and I think they're seeing a little bit of what he brings.
Yeah.
And then the coach is giving it to him at practice. I mean, he beat on him the other day at practice.
Yeah, well, it's good.
For their lack of effort.
I mean, they need it. I went to the game last Thursday. They looked like complete dog crap against the Rangers. I can't believe we were able to put 2. They were actually 2 nice goals that we scored, but we were all over that ice getting beat up. And then we come back to play Philly, and again, I'm like, what are you doing? I think they were just resting in that Philly game going, oh, we were able to just beat you and put up 6 goals. And Philly's fighting.
The playoffs for them is going to be a huge matchup thing.
Yeah.
If they get the Rangers in the first round, they're done.
Oh,
the Rangers
absolutely.
are going to smoke them. Florida, I think they can play Florida. If they play like they did last night, they can hang with them. They get the Capitals, they can beat them.
Yeah, we get the Capitals.
It's a matchup thing.
The Capitals, if Ovechkin keeps playing the way he's playing right now and the team keeps rallying around him, the Capitals were one of our Achilles' heels for years, and I think it's going to be a bad matchup for us. So, but we can get into that next week.
Yeah, when we get closer.
2 weeks, when we get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But we got Tampa Bay tonight. I mean, if we play even half like we did last night, we should beat Tampa Bay. And then we got Washington on Saturday, so we can get a little preview of that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, when's Maroon coming back?
It won't be till the playoffs. He might get one game in before the season's over.
I would like to see him a little bit more. Ethan wants to know, are we rolling with Sway or Linus? Ethan, they have to.
So, Allmark had his chance to take the number 1 spot, and he didn't do it.
There's not going to be a number 1 spot. There is no number 1 spot, guys.
I think they're gonna.
No.
They're gonna go with Swayman unless he continues to play bad right now.
They will 100% keep this rotation to a fault
I almost
now
think they should. But
yeah, I agree, but even because of what happened last year in the playoffs, Montgomery got so much crap that he had a rotation all year, and then they got into playoffs, and he stopped what he's been doing all year. When we all knew, we screamed, everybody did, that you needed to
keep going with what works.
So to a fault this year, it will not go that way. It will continue to be a rotation.
And if one of them catches fire,
you're going to get aggravated because they're going to keep. No, he's going to do it to a fault.
We'll see.
That's what we're going to be yelling about in the playoffs. One of these goalies is going to catch fire.
We'll be yelling when they get knocked out,
and he's going to sit them.
If they actually win a series, win 2, it'll be different. People will start going, "Oh, maybe he's got the right formula."
And you're right, Bob. Anytime they play a heavy team, they're going to have to end it quickly, or they'll get worn down over a long series. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
you double looked at me. I thought you had something else coming there.
I mean that puts it perfectly. That's been their biggest problem is heavy teams, and the effort and when they start getting hit, you see them just. It's like they're afraid, so they stop doing the hustling that they're supposed to be doing. They sit back. They know a hit's coming, so they dump the puck away and turn. They still have guys that do that constantly, and it turns into bad goals, bad turnovers all the time.
We'll see tonight, Dave. We'll see tonight against Tampa Bay if they can continue up a little bit what they had last night.
Yeah, and you get to see Allmark tonight.
Yeah.
So
looking forward to that one. And what also I'm looking forward to is Thursday night when our Boston Celtics get back against the Hawks, which we just blew a 30-point lead.
Was that in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
So both games are actually in Atlanta.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I like that the NBA is doing that because it kind of cuts down on travel time. Like, why not? If you got to play them 4 times a year, why not play them twice there instead of taking the unnecessary plane trips? But yeah, I think the Celtics team has done that several times. Not several times this year, but a few times this year. They had won 9 in a row. One of their previous losses, I think they lost to Cleveland, Nuggets, and then this was their last loss. 2 out of 3, they're up big, and then just kind of, they seem to get bored. And they get a big lead, and the ball's moving like crazy, and then they kind of just start forcing up threes, and then all of a sudden that 30-point lead is down to 15, and then it's down to 8, and then they got to kind of work for it, and they don't go back to what worked. They go... Did I miss something?
No, Dave's getting hungry. Hungry man.
Oh, hungry hippo. Yeah.
He didn't hear the growl.
Want a snack?
Red Bull's not coming.
Red Bull's not settling.
So since we're talking about, all right, the blown leads this year. So this year, already, there has been 32 teams that have come back from a 20-point plus deficit.
Against the Celtics?
Nope, against just the NBA in general.
Okay.
All right.
Have the Celtics been
56 times this team, 56 times this year, a team has led by 20. You go back 10 years, it's only 5 times. You go back even a few years, for the season, we're only there. All right? The 6 past seasons, the most they saw was at 20 teams to lead by to come back, or to lead by 20 like that.
Yeah.
And it's for reading an article, ESPN put out a good article about this. These players were talking and going, to them, a 20-point lead in the NBA right now is a 12-point lead.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
Teams are now scoring 130, 140. If we go back 6 years, nobody was scoring 140.
No.
So it's all relative.
You go back to 2003, 2004, only 12 teams.
Oh, yeah, because 2003, games are 98 to 95.
Right. Yeah, but and what these players were talking about was like, in the past, you get down by 20, it was a different game. Guys started to buckle, you put in the bench. Now these guys know, hey, we need one turnover and we hit a couple threes and we're right back in this.
Right. It's a faster game. More points are scored. More 3-point shots. If you look back at like the Knicks versus the Miami Heat, if you're up 20, there's no chance. I mean, those games were 78 to 72. So to go back in time, it was a completely different game.
So they went through all kinds. So LeBron was one of the ones talking about it. He goes, when I started in this league, 2003, 2004, you were down by 20, like I just said. He goes, the bench was coming in.
Right. Game was
you were
over.
getting ripped up. You were getting ripped by the coach.
Yep.
Now we have plays. We have we run through scenarios of what we're going to do if we're up by 20. And he was saying it. In this NBA, and a few other, Booker, Durant, Halliburton, and there was about a dozen guys that were talking about this, and they all said is they don't want to be up by 20.
I was going to say it's almost harder to be up by 20 than down by 20.
They all say they relish being down by 20, 20 plus points than being up by. They say it's the worst feeling to be at in the second quarter to be up by 20 points.
It's almost like in the NFL when you're playing prevent defense and then all of a sudden you're up 7 in the fourth quarter. You know, you're up 28 and you play the prevent defense. And I think that's a similar thing happens in the NBA.
Well, but to hear these players talk about that, it was just kind of it opened another eye to me about it because I'm we're sitting here from watching it and we're screaming at the way the Celtics play. You're listening to the broadcasters, you're listening to the media, and then you start hearing the players and then the coaches, and you're just like, oh.
But it seems like the Celtics this year have gone on streaks, and then to end these streaks, it's always been like some just follow-up like this.
Yeah, I think they get bored, because they go from playing what looks like perfect basketball for 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters, up 20, up 30.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of get bored.
But
that's what it is.
They're on a 9-game or a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
And then they're up by 30 points.
And then they just fall apart.
God, what are we doing here?
And one of the things that I think was Booker was talking about is the problem with being up by 20 too early is you get tight. Because now you start thinking like, what is going to change the momentum as you're gaining that lead, you're playing fluid, you're going on these runs, but then all of a sudden you get tight, and then they go down and hit 2 baskets, and now it's like,
now you go back to iso ball. One thing to keep in mind too, they were without Derek White and Drew Holiday yesterday. I know Atlanta didn't have Trae Young.
You still had Jaylen Brown.
I know,
Tatum, you still had Porzingis.
But I think with Drew Holiday and Derek White, they can kind of control the tempo a little bit better. Sometimes when the tempo gets chaotic, Jaylen Brown's very chaotic. I think they could have used a more experienced veteran to kind of calm down the flow of that game.
I don't. Oh, that was my stomach that time. Sorry.
What's going on here?
See, I don't buy that anymore because, Brown and Tatum, and especially Porzingis, have been in this league long enough.
Oh, I know.
They've been in this league longer than White. Drew Holiday only has a few years on these guys.
Right. But I feel like their demeanor is a little bit more calm during like panic type situations. Because Jaylen Brown, when the game gets out of control, he's a disaster. Tatum was trying to facilitate. I think it would have been better having them there just as like calming presences on the court.
Yeah,
I think it would have helped out.
I don't disagree with you. I just hate to give that to the Celtics as a crutch.
Oh yeah. Hey, you lost a game. But
Yeah.
I do feel like not having those guys there puts a little bit more pressure on Tatum, which he should take. I mean, if you're a top 5 player in the league, you should be able to withhold these leads.
And it's
hopefully it's only going to happen now and not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You gotta go on a win streak and just put teams away. You can't have stuff like this happen.
No.
Because then you give a team hope. Even you get a two games to nothing lead.
Yeah, you give a team
go up by
hope,
30
and you
points.
also risk Porzingis rolling his ankle. Or last year, Jason Tatum rolled his ankle in a game 7. You just can't. We can't afford any of these injuries. So, and we saw Tatum get worn out as the playoffs went on. Al Horford's 98 years old, so you got there's certain series that you got to close out in 4 or 5 games.
And to Jay Fields here chiming in, Tatum, how does that impact the rest of the team of him being the? I'm reading 2 comments here at once, but they want him to be the face of the league. I think a game like last night in Atlanta, we're ripping that apart.
I don't think anybody cares.
We watched that.
Yeah.
Nobody else gives a crap about that.
No.
Yeah.
And that's it's funny because I was reading that too, and they were talking about like they ran down the top 10 players in the NBA this year, and then they matched them with Tatum, and it was just like wow, like we don't like I've said this before, we don't see these other players night in and night out.
Same thing.
So
happens.
we don't see what they're doing out there. Like De'Aaron Fox, they were talking about supposed to be one of the other up and coming, and the amount of games and turnovers that he's blown. We don't hear about that. We sit here and go, "Wow, De'Aaron Fox, he's great." They were talking about like Jamal Murray, some of the bonehead moves that he's made, and I'm like,
Yeah, and we've seen like Giannis throw temper tantrums. If you put these guys under a microscope, we could rip them all apart. So I don't think, as far as face of the league, I don't think that really matters.
No.
And Jay was asking. He agreed. He was just asking about their mental readiness if they can't slow down the game.
Yeah. Maybe we're not ready to win a title because you know what? I'll tell you what. I don't know if we can get by Denver. I kind of been saying this all year. Everyone's like, championship or bust. I'm like, I don't know if we can beat the Clippers. I don't know if we can beat Denver.
I think I'm not worried. We've owned Denver up to this year. And this year, we blew game 1. We played tough that whole game. That was a great game 1. And I'm sorry, but Missoula, not calling the timeouts, fumbled that game. Fumbled that game away. I'm going to blame that first game on Missoula. And then the second game, we could have won that game.
Yeah,
that was a close game. Jaylen Brown missed 8 free throws. He misses 8 free throws.
Yeah.
At the end of that game,
And then
he was
Tatum
that
missed the
we
three
had
in the
chance.
corner.
But he should have never been in that point.
But
if Jaylen Brown makes 5 of those, it's a
doesn't matter.
completely different game.
Yeah. I just don't like how Jokic kind of controls the tempo. And we don't really have anyone to kind of match up and kind of slow him down. It just seems like Jokic against us does whatever the hell, probably against everybody, does whatever the hell he wants.
So we talked about this 2 years ago on this show, that when we first started this, that Missoula, bad coach, doesn't know what he's doing. But the saving grace is Brad Stevens used to have the formula on Jokic. Yeah. He would let him come in, he would man up, and he would force him to pass the ball. He would force him to be a passer. It would almost bait him to get in the lane, and then Jokic would be like, and then they would collapse on him, and then they would force him, and they would anticipate the pass, and they would force him to pass the ball.
Right.
Because Jokic will do that. Jokic is a great
great
basketball
facilitator.
player. He feels double coverage. He will pass. So I'm hoping that if we ever got into a final situation, Stevens is going to have to come down and be like,
what we need
this
to
is
do.
what we have to do, Missoula.
Do you know what sport Jokic played before basketball?
No. Horses?
You know?
No.
If you watch him pass, you can see how he passes overhand like that. He was a water polo star in his country. And when you watch him pass, you can see it because he does these one-handed passes. The other thing is, has Jokic gotten better over the past 2 or 3 years? And the answer to
yeah.
that question is yes. So what Brad Stevens did 2 or 3 years ago, does it still work? I hope so, because this guy's a problem.
But if he has to kick it out, he's kicking it out to
Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., they're good. They're very good.
That Celtics' first home loss, Murray was hitting everything.
Murray's very good.
And we were still in that game, and we shot horribly three-point percentage that
That's
game.
true.
Yeah. No, I don't think we're going to get swept, but I think that's a tough series. Yeah,
that's probably the toughest matchup they have.
Or the Clippers.
Clippers
are good too.
They're good. I'm
just
just saying.
you
I think Denver is their toughest matchup, but the only saving grace is that it's only one of those two teams that
Yeah.
You know?
And one of those two might not make it because Minnesota's pretty good.
That's what you just said. Only one of those teams aren't going to make it.
Right. Oh, excuse me.
Maybe both of them don't make it
because Minnesota's pretty good.
I mean,
Oklahoma City's pretty
if they
good.
just have a bad series,
Yeah,
they
they
could,
both of them could be taken out. The West
really,
is pretty strong.
The East just seems not a cakewalk, but it seems like they're going to cruise through.
They
the
should.
East.
They should.
And if they don't,
they should.
Shame on them.
Yeah, they should. Because if they lose, then Missoula has to be gone, right? If they lose before they make it to the finals,
100%.
Yeah,
I don't
have to
see.
get to the finals this year.
Yeah, you can't lose to Cleveland or Milwaukee. Like these teams aren't in the same they're not on the same level as us.
Epic collapse. I'm sorry if they lose.
It'll be a wasted season.
Yeah.
It'll be an absolute waste of a season.
The anger in this city about this team. Oh,
we saw it last year with the Bruins.
Yep.
Yeah, it would feel like that. It would feel like that.
Painful.
So hopefully tomorrow night.
Such a great regular season, and then just fail miserably in the playoffs.
I'm hoping tomorrow night's the get back. I'm hoping.
Yeah, tomorrow night, make a statement. Go beat them by 35 points.
Yep, and keep your foot on the throat.
Yeah, keep it right. Just keep pounding away.
So,
what do we have left?
well, our New England Patriots
Yeah.
and Mr. Kraft.
Your boy.
So I want to play you this clip here. All right, I think a
Kraft
lot
is
of
he
people have
spewing
already
now?
heard it, but
one outstanding receiver that unfortunately we couldn't close. It was not because of finance. It was.
No, it's because your team sucks and no one
made
wanted to come
clearly
here.
his girlfriend wanted to be in the
Yeah,
South.
it's his girlfriend's fault
And,
that Calvin Ridley didn't
we
want to
had
come up
a
here.
And it's actually not his girlfriend, it's his
where
wife.
the taxes were like
Calvin Ridley's married.
almost 10% higher, and we offered or were willing to keep going at that premium, but he didn't want to be in the Northeast, and part of it might be the quarterback situation as well.
Or your team just sucks,
No, but
and they're going to win 3 or 4 games
Hold on,
this
you
season.
guys missed it. What he ended with there, and is my biggest fear, is he just said the quarterback situation. He's showing his hand. They are drafting a quarterback at 3, which we all know, but they're
it's all
taking
been-
any quarterback that's on the board, and that's what worries me. That's what worries me. It was right there at the end. You guys.
good.
They talked a lot of stuff. Yeah, Calvin really didn't want to come here. His girlfriend, it was a cold, and then he dropped the bomb. It was the quarterback.
Maybe it was his girlfriend, not his wife.
Yeah. Maybe he's just like
Kraft
you,
just
Robert Kraft.
Kraft just outed him.
Here's another thing too. It's like it's not like Tennessee has a much better quarterback situation than us. They got a guy that they don't even know if they like.
So no, they do know they like it.
They
They
like Levis.
think Levis is the next best thing.
Well,
They
we'll
are.
see.
He's a promising looking young kid. I feel more comfortable with him than what we have right now.
Right.
You know?
But if we have Drake May or Daniels, then it would probably be on the same level. I mean,
Yeah, I
Levis
feel like-
was a second-round pick, right?
I feel
Yeah.
like if Daniels is gone to the Redskins, they need to move back.
If you're not going to draft a quarterback, we've talked about this before, the move is to move back.
Yeah, we are. 100%.
They're going to take a quarterback, but you don't need to take Drake May at 3.
We
Move
agree.
back. If you really want Bo Nix, you can probably get him in the 30s.
Oh, Paul would be.
Yeah, Paul would be excited.
Paul Connors. Ooh, he just heard Bo Nix.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
running
yeah,
back
yeah.
trying to type in. No, I agree with you, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Kraft just played his cards. He wants a quarterback. He wants another face. Whatever quarterback's available at number 3, I'm sorry, I think Kraft is going to draft, and it's I guess scary is not the word, but for New England Patriot fans, the outlook doesn't look good if you have Drake May and JJ McCarthy left on the board, and those are one of the guys that he's going for.
Unless you fall in love with Drake May.
But there's nobody there anymore. As much as I couldn't stand Bill, but there's nobody there anymore that's going to put Kraft in his place.
Oh no, you saw it with the Mayo press conference yesterday, or the interview. Before even being asked questions, he said, "I just want people to know the summer went the way it did, not because of the ownership group. It was us as coaches." I'm like, dude, you're making an excuse. Nobody even asked you a question yet.
Yeah.
So I think Gerard Mayo is doing what he can to stay on Robert Kraft's good side.
Yeah, I think all of them are. And
yeah.
I don't like that. That's
basically, if they don't have a great draft, they're going to be in the same spot next year.
Going after Deion Sanders' son.
But you never know. We just assume every year is going to have 3 or 4 quarterbacks where you can choose from. And I remember the Mac Jones year where there were 5 first-round picks. I think the next year only had 1, and I think it was the guy that went to Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
So I think we assume people are just going to come out of nowhere and be a top-tier quarterback, but just because we end up with a 3rd pick next year, it might be a D lineman. So I don't know. If you're picking a quarterback, you better hit on that quarterback.
Yeah.
And if not, you better fill in your roster. I don't want them to trade back and just draft a quarterback because we're supposed to draft a quarterback. If you think these guys suck, then you know what? Grab your wide receiver, grab your offensive lineman, grab another wide receiver. And then, I don't know.
We need to stack up on offense because defense is screwed now.
And I think there's a better chance of this year there's three guys that are looking to go top 3. There's a better chance of an NFL veteran quarterback being disgruntled and being able to trade for an Aaron Rodgers or something like that. So there's always that possibility. If you hit big and grab an offensive lineman and 2 wide receivers, you already have a pretty good defense. If you get a disgruntled quarterback that you can bring in here and kind of sell them on the fact that this team is kind of already made minus the quarterback, then that might get a veteran guy here. And we don't know who's going to be the disgruntled star next year.
Right. Well, there's still, the June cuts after the draft. Then they do their rookie camps, and then teams start cutting veterans.
I don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
That's the position
those
we're
veterans
in.
That's where they're going to be, though.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. Those veterans are good for, like, Kansas City and Buffalo to pick up. We need stars.
But there's no stars that want to come here.
No. But if you trade back, you grab 2 receivers, you grab an offensive lineman, and then there's a quarterback out there that's disgruntled, needs to move on, and he can kind of see the path where if I go in there and I get plugged in, this could be a 10-win team.
I mean, like Kraft said, Ridley, he doesn't want to come to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Because the tax rate's so high
that's
here.
That's cop out, guys.
Yeah, because he also said he doesn't want to come for the taxes.
That's one reason.
But I told him we would pay him.
That's one reason. And then you're going to be in the cold. And then, oh, wait, you're only going to win 3 games next year? And you don't even have a quarterback that can throw the ball?
No.
Like, there's so many reasons not to come here.
Yeah, right now we're not in a good spot.
No, but...
We're not in a good spot.
That's why I said, months ago, you take a Harrison Jr. because you're going to get a stud receiver who has no choice.
I wish I had a button.
I know, but
probably wrong.
You take him
Harrison Jr.
because he has no choice. He has to play here for 4 years.
Awesome. So you wasted draft pick, Dave.
It's not a wasted
It's the same as
draft pick.
drafting Drake May at this point. You're wasting a draft
No.
pick. And he's even dropped now. He's the number 2 receiver to come off the board.
Fine. I'll take him.
I don't know.
I'll take him after the other kid who jumped ahead of him.
Who jumped ahead of him?
I have no idea.
I think it was the guy from Washington. I don't remember at this point.
Yeah.
But we're going to need to do the offense because we have a new rule in the NFL.
Yeah.
This hip chalk. This hip.
Probably not a hip chalk.
I don't know.
Well, when I've seen highlights of what they consider a hip tackle, I get it because most of the guys getting tackled are rolling their legs under the defensive player, and a lot of them are spraining ankles and stuff like that.
Dave, I'm just going to ask J.J. Watt here. JJ.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he doesn't even understand.
If you asked me to pull up videos and show you what a hip drop tackle was, or if you asked me to demonstrate a hip drop tackle, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't understand. Like
That's because he didn't tackle like that, because he was a beast.
Jeez,
He was a large man that would just manhandle anyone and throw him down. These smaller guys that are taking on a Derrick Henry or some of these bigger backs, they can't get him, and so they grab him around the hips, and then they drop. And when they do, these guys, their legs are ending up under the defensive player.
So
And,
what do you do?
you know,
if you're a safety trying to tackle Gronk, what do? You just let Gronk ride you for 25 yards?
Yeah.
And that's what they're
That's what they
basically
want.
saying right now in the NFL. Is
Well, that's weird.
you can't tackle him like that. Let him go.
So you can't hit him high, you can't hit him low, and you can't tackle him around the waist. Gronk would love to play in 2024.
Yeah. Get the flags out.
He wouldn't be stopped.
He wouldn't be
couldn't
stopped.
speak.
No.
Gronk in his prime wouldn't be stopped.
No.
No.
No, but I mean, this all started with the Mark Andrews. That's where this all started. When Mark Andrews got hurt, that's where it brought the light onto the hip tackles.
But it's a tackle it's gone on for years.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's kind of
It's just-
dangerous, but what are you going to do? It's a violent
It's
sport.
a violent
The element.
sport, right?
Player
Exactly.
grabs
So in
his
boxing,
opponent
you
from the
can't
side.
punch the guy in the head.
Hold on.
Like-
he breaks it right down what the hip tackle
No
is.
idea. 3 elements. A player grabs his opponent from the side and swivels his hips away from the ball carrier, elevates his feet so all of his body weight is unsupported while sinking or dropping his hips to the ground.
Once you crush
and
the leg there,
landing
it's,
on the ball carrier's legs
That's
during
that's the
the
big
tackle.
part with laying on the
yeah,
on the
and
legs.
that's my only issue with it. But like you said, this is football. These guys know what they're signing up for.
Yeah.
And you know that any play could be your last. You know, Joe Theismann got his leg shattered
Right.
by a low hit. You go back, if you've seen any of the Dynasty, which I know you haven't, but they show
Refuses.
the
He refuses
Brady
to
they
watch
show
it.
the Brady injury in 08, and that guy was into his leg. And after that hit, they changed the rule on where you can hit a quarterback.
Yeah.
After he had already put Brady out for the season. You know, but that was a thing. Like years ago, if a guy was playing well at quarterback, you know, let's take his legs out.
Oh yeah. They remember the Saints that used to
The bounty gate.
Bounty gate. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, these guys took shots at. I mean, if you look at Joe Montana's career stats, he played 1 or 2 full seasons in the league. The man was. They were constantly after him, hitting him high, hitting him low, hitting him way after he got rid of the ball, and there wasn't penalties for it back then. It was just part of the game.
Right. And I'm glad they cleaned that piece up.
Yeah.
But at some point, like, once,
But they're continuing to make this more of a flag football game.
yeah, and I just don't know how these smaller DBs are going to tackle these tight ends that are coming through the middle. Like, what are you going to do?
What do you do with Derrick Henry running at you?
Yeah, you hope that the people in front of you take care of them. But,
That was one of so a lot of players have been speaking up about this hip drop, and one of the I forget which defensive player, but that was his thing. It was like, how do you expect me to take down Derrick Henry next year?
yeah, when I weigh
They
215 and
they
he's
go at his
265,
Yeah,
You have to go at his knees.
but you can't go at his knees.
You take the 15-yard flag and
Yeah.
hope that Henry doesn't get up.
yeah.
It's basically what's happening. I mean, teams want to stop Patrick Mahomes? Take a run at his knees.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
don't even like to say that.
Yeah.
I know,
that
but
just bothered me, Mud
this
Boy.
is- this
Mud
is-
Boy. Oh. And I'm not a big Patrick Mahomes fan, but I
No,
don't
but
like
this
the
is.
thought.
I mean, what the Greg Williams made a career out of being a defensive coordinator doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting beat by this guy, so
Let's take him out.
you take him out. I got $50,000 for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dirty.
you can't tell me that there's no dirty
Oh,
players in this league.
No,
I mean,
there's dirty players everywhere.
yeah. And Dominican Sue was
nasty.
Was at the top of the dirty list forever. Stomping on guys' hands and kicking them in the face while they're down on the ground. I mean, but it was okay.
Well, his drink's ended. That's usually the...
I got a sip left.
That's his tap. All right, wrap
We're
up
almost
the show.
done, guys. We're almost done.
All right.
I couldn't get any of the
no, it's all right.
messages on there.
We don't expect you to read them anyways.
I was trying. I was like, where are they?
So, what I want to end the show with real quick, and we can end with many things, but I want to talk to this one thing is because I see Joshua Hoy chiming in here. So we sit here we've been talking a lot about sports cards, and I finally was able to take a minute and to go check out the show that he puts on this weekend. And let me tell you, I mean, I was only there for a short time. I had to get back home. I wish I could have spent more time there. It was an excellent show, Josh. I hope I know I said he's got another one May 26th. You know, it's going to be a little bit tough for me because it's Memorial Day weekend, but the selection, the guys that were selling cards. I mean, I go to a lot of shoe things, and sometimes I don't like dealing with these guys because it's, you know, some of them are arrogant. I'm like, dude, you're here to sell shoes.
Yeah, you're like a car salesman.
Yeah, like what's going on? I can go down to the next table. But
same shoe.
Every table that I went to, I mean, these guys wanted to talk. They would bargain with you. They were interested. They weren't trying to, you know, my son's got a $5 bill. They weren't shushing him out of the way. I had a 10 in my hand to get to somebody with more money. You know, it was a great time. You know, I highly recommend. We'll plug the show as it gets closer to May. If you guys are into cards, I mean, anything, Pokemon, wrestling, all kinds of figures. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was packed, and it was still. I mean, my son made out like a bandit with the amount of cards that he got.
I'm glad it's
nice
like that.
Dana Barrel signed basketball.
Nice. and I imagine a lot of the guys there that are kind of selling and kind of conversing with the kids, they remember as kids what they were like getting their packs of cards. So I imagine that's why I don't think every shoe guy was selling shoes at the young age of 12. But everybody can remember themselves opening up a pack of cards and trying to get the Clemens rookie and trying to get the Dwight Gooden rookie. So that's pretty cool.
And it's funny, cool. So when you go to shoes, you know, everybody wants to get the top dollar for their shoes. And it's getting harder to bargain. You know, these guys with the cards, it was like, all right.
It's more of a fun thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It was, you know, this card's this. Give me that. What do you got?
Yeah.
Let's work on this. You know. Oh, you want this one, that one, and it was much more easy. It was easier to bargain.
Right.
And like I said, every table that he had there, I mean, every single guy that was behind the tables and women, they were all great.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was. I highly recommend. He just put it here May 26th and June 23rd down in Smithfield, Rhode Island at the Elks Club. We'll keep. It's just I highly recommend to go check it out. I know you wanted to, but you got in a little bit late. But I mean, it's a good. You know, and I can see now why Charlie Macy, you know, and his son down there had a good time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he just right here, Joshua he puts it on for the kids, and yeah, I mean, you did. My son had a ball. He can't wait to go back. His interest in cards, it's been growing, obviously, because Dave here feeds his habit. But just leaving this, his interest in cards went through the roof, and I like it because I love sports.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you know, number 8. Like, he's like talking about sports players now. Like, he's all about Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Nobody from the Patriots, you know?
There isn't too many from
the
Patriots. The cards aren't worth anything. So.
No, it was just nice to see the glimmer in his eyes with the sports and to really start to grasp and to figure out some of these players and to, you know.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to it continuing and, you know, feeding another habit of mine.
Yeah, that's what you need. More addictions. Yep.
Okay, well, on that note.
I think we're done.
We're going to close it out.
We're going to close it out? All right. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow all
on
that good
Instagram.
stuff. Please, we need it.